Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Be Like Christ for our Bible study in Exodus chapter 6. Forgive the background noise if you hear any in this video. I'm currently traveling a little bit, and I'm in the middle of a city right now, and so there's mopeds going by, dogs barking. You'd probably be amazed at how many cuts I have to make in my videos to cut out the sounds of a really loud cat that lives down the hallway, or people screaming outside, or all manner of things. So I keep telling my wife, one day I'm going to have a studio and it's going to be glorious. But until then, God is testing me through the noises of the city. Anyway, we've only got 5 minutes because this is a 5-minute study, so we better get into this. Exodus chapter 6 today. There's a link down to our website where you can download the outline for free. And watch out for the physical book that is going to be coming out sometime in the future. If it's out, there will be a link in the description as well. When did the events of Exodus chapter 6 happen? Well, Moses, our main character, was born in about 1591 BC. That was about 1600 years before Jesus came around. He was God's representative to Pharaoh, and he stood before Pharaoh when he was about 80 years old. So that would have been approximately 1511 BC. Our characters for this chapter haven't changed a lot since chapter 5. We've got the Israelite people. They're the descendants of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and currently they are enslaved in the nation of Egypt. Moses is our main character. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time reintroducing him chapter after chapter because we're going to talk about him quite a bit, but if you're just jumping in for the first time in Exodus chapter 6 and you haven't done the other studies, there is a little bit of information on the handout, which you can see up on the screen if you're on YouTube, or you can download as a PDF on the website if you need that. We then have Aaron. Aaron is Why do I keep saying that? He's Moses' brother. Abraham is very long gone at this point. Aaron is Moses' brother. He's from the tribe of Levi, as was Moses, and he's the son of Amram and Jochebed, as was Moses. Then our final character is Pharaoh. He was a wicked king who refused to obey the commands of God. Our map is going to be the same as Exodus chapter 5 as well. These events took place in Egypt. The Israelites were enslaved there, as we mentioned. They lived in a region known as Goshen, which was to the east side of Egypt. So now let's talk about our outline. Verses 1 through 13, God reminds Moses of his promise to free Israel. Moses needed a little bit of a reminder because if you remember at the end of chapter 5, Moses went to Pharaoh, told Pharaoh God's commands, and Pharaoh basically laughed at him and sent him away. Not only that, but he increased the burden on the Israelites. He took away their straw, and yet he required them to make the same amount of bricks every day. So the Israelites were disheartened. They were even mad at Moses and Aaron. So God speaks to Moses again, and he reassures him. Yes, I fully intend to keep my promise. He reminded Moses that he was the same God who had promised the Canaan land to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Moses was supposed to go back to the Israelites and to remind them of this promise, which would have been well known within their families and within their nations, and to tell them that God was going to release them from Egypt with, quote, great acts of judgment. Moses obeyed, but the children of Israel didn't listen to him because of, quote, their broken spirit and harsh slavery. God told Moses to go back to Pharaoh and to tell him to let the Israelites go. But Moses was disheartened by the people's unbelief. The end of the chapter is a little bit different. It breaks away from this narrative that we've been following for a while. Verses 14 through 30 list the names of prominent leaders among the Israelites. The prominent leaders in Israel were primarily the descendants of Jacob's 3 eldest sons. That would be Reuben, Simeon, and Levi. For the sake of being comprehensive, we will read these. Reuben's sons were Hanok, Palu, Hezron, and Carmi. Simeon's sons, Jamul, Jamin, Jachin, Zohar, and Shaul. Levi's sons, Gershon, Kohath, and Merari. And then Abraham's, why do I keep doing that? Moses' parents' names are listed here for actually the first time in Exodus. We haven't been told what their names are so far. Exodus chapter 6, verse 20 tells us that Moses' dad was named Amram and his mother was named Jochebed. Moses and his brother Aaron were the grandsons of Levi through their mother. So they were from the tribe of Levi, and that becomes very important because Aaron and his sons are later going to become the priests of the Israelite nation. And if you know the story of the rest of the New Testament, you'll know that the priests always came from the tribe of Levi. And so that's chapter 6. We don't have a lot of story development in terms of the children of Israel getting out of Egypt. Moses is kind of down because people are turning against him, and well, the people aren't free yet. So that's where we leave off, and we'll make some more developments in chapter 7. But first, an application as we close for the day. The great men of the biblical story weren't perfect people, and they didn't always display perfect faith or trust in God. Moses was discouraged when his own people turned on him, and rather than focusing on the promises of God, he allowed the words of his countrymen to get him down. He fell into a mindset of despair that was brought about by the unbelief of other people. Always remember that the, quote, great Bible characters were men and women like us, people that struggled with doubts, people that were negatively influenced by ungodly people, and they occasionally made big mistakes. And that's why we don't put our trust and our hope in men like us. We put our hope and our trust in Jesus. That's why we look to Jesus. He's our greatest example. He lived the model life of constant confidence and trust in God.